Hello, and welcome to today's episode of A Talk in the Park. Today we're going to talk about the complications when it comes to the concepts of life and death. And the reason for that is because a friend of mine asked me to talk about this, and it's something that I think is important to discuss. To me, death is a very scary thing, because death is the end, and while all things are naturally meant to die, and I understand that's a point, doesn't mean I can't be scared or anxious about it. I really do like the life I live now, and to have it end so quickly would be regrettable, honestly, and just a scary thought, all things considered. Everything together, everything you've worked towards, the family and friends you have, the projects, all the hard work you put into different things, the future you could potentially have, all of it just gone by the concept. And death of relatives is also scary because these people that you spent so long building connections with, times you've spent doing activities together, forming an actual bond with the people, ending, and that's scary. There's a lot of taboos around death being scary and being like, let's not talk about it because it's a cursed thing to happen, but in reality it's something that does happen. What I'm trying to say is that I don't think death should be something that people get critiqued on for being scared of, I think it's rightfully a taboo, in my opinion, to not talk about death. Hold on. Let me rephrase that. I think death not being talked about being a taboo should something that could be opened up more. Talking about death and the implications of it, as well as grief, are important. It's important, like I said in my previous videos, to reflect on that, to internalize it, discuss with others, as well as make some internal reflection and work through that difficult time and process. However, I also don't think on the opposite side of things that death should be necessarily just a casual thing or something that just, it happens to every life form, so it's okay if it happens to you. No, because life is precious. We are given this life on Earth, and we should use whatever opportunities we have to make it our own. And granted, people have different levels of positions and privileges in life, sure, but even still, I feel like everyone has something to add to the world and society, let alone to better improve themselves and the lives of everyone around them, and that life on its own is precious, but the lives of others alongside you to form this community is what drives an inner power of that. Now, for concepts like in sci-fi and other novels, they talk about immortality. Immortality is a bit of a strange thing because it's this idea that sometimes it's they can't age, but they can die of normal means. Other times it's that they simply can't die and that they just live forever. But living forever inherently means the beauty of life is gone, because any memory or life experience you have infinite time, and therefore can do infinite amounts of things. Life only feels so precious and marvelous because of the actions you can do, because you're on a limited time span on this earth. You can only do so much given your life and your limitations, such that everything you do has meaning. If you could simply do anything you wanted to do with an infinite amount of time, infinite amount of resources, then what's there to even do in life at all? If I was given the chance to be immortal, I would honestly decline, because it just removes what makes me a human, or makes me a living organism. It makes me a permanent fixture on this planet, assuming that if the planet's gone, I'm not just floating in space. But even then, it's like, there's nothing. Everything you could do, everything you could ever want to do, it's gone, because you're just alive for an infinite amount of times. Anything you desire or need, it's all arbitrary, because you simply live forever. I guess that's one thing about death I didn't really consider before, where it does give life inherent meaning on its own. Now, when a person passes away, what happens to them? Or when any organism passes away, what happens to it? There's a lot of talks about the afterlife through different religions, but also through a secular perspective of what happens to your body. I guess it decomposes, sure, and your brain still runs a little bit longer before it eventually drains out in that aspect. Like, it runs out of oxygen to continue working, but in an internal perspective, what happens to the organism? If you stop working, do you lose your consciousness? And obviously there's talks about the soul as well as the spirit, which are completely valid by all means. And despite not being a religious person, I am actually a believer in the souls and spirits in that sense, and how an internal soul of a person can carry on. Now, I don't think there's really an afterlife, like a heaven and hell situation, or any variety of that, but I don't think the flow of life is simply you pass away, you die. But at the same time, I don't think that's an afterlife where some people live. I truly believe it's just an endless void of nothing. Because without a body or mind, your soul doesn't have anything to channel through, and therefore can just live in a void. You have no consciousness. You have no perception of time or space. because you're simply gone. And that, I think, is an even more anxiety-ridden answer than an afterlife or simply nothing happening. Your soul is stuck in this permanent emptiness in between life and death. That's I believe, what happens afterwards. It is a scary thing on a personal level because there's always so many things that can theoretically kill you. And on the opposite side, there's so many things you could do with your life that you aren't doing necessarily. I love to travel because I love to do these experiences that are not necessarily once in a lifetime, but things that I like, exploring new places, exploring the culture, seeing buildings and whatnot, attractions and naturescapes. It's because I love seeing these things as a person. I love experiencing them with the limited time I have on Earth. The planet we have is so beautiful, and being able to explore it is a gift that I've been given, and a privilege that I talk about privilege a lot on this channel, but I do mean it when I say that I am a very lucky individual to have the opportunities in the first place. To even have the opportunities to have a device that can record, a device that can share things with the world, the funds to be able to travel, and even the time to do so too. All of those combined make me so grateful for the life I live that thinking about death does make me nervous, but I don't really think about it often. Despite it being an ever-present potential phenomenon to occur to me, it just doesn't hit top of mind for me, and that's okay. Not constantly thinking about death lets me live life in the moment, knowing that I will eventually die, but I can make my life as wonderful and as exciting as it is for myself before that point. So that's been a talk in the park for this week. Hopefully we'll see you next time, and bye for now.